Hi. Sorry I didn't get to this earlier today, but my computer's been kind of a dill hole. Anyways, I start tonight off with a question. Have you ever been playing a really occult game that's consumed a portion of your life? I mean, like Final Fantasy, Grand Theft Auto. Well, tonight, for those of you who enjoy really unique RPGs, I present to you the sequel of perhaps one of the most occult games of all time, even outranking that of Diablo 2. I give to you Phantasy Star Universe. Yes, the occult sequel to Phantasy Star Online, perhaps one of the greatest games ever released for online gameplay in my entire existence. Now, first of all, I want to talk about the basics. Gameplay, graphics, sort of sound I'm including on this time, and then there's the portion that sort of includes my complaints. You'll kind of notice these that I go over them as I go through the individual sections. We'll start off with graphics, like I usually do. Graphic-wise, when put on a next-gen console, I notice it seems to raise the bar as far as fluidity and sort of crispness come. The motions of characters is very precise, it's very enjoyable, it's practical eye candy. But there are certain times when it goes too far, and there are some times when I've noticed that the lip syncing with the specific voice acting, which I must admit is greatly impressive, especially for a Phantasy Star game, which has not included at any time in the past, was a little bit off on some occasions. Some of the hand signals were a bit off-timed, but I'm not exactly really nagging on this too harshly. Now, we come to the next section, gameplay. This was a big one. People who I've noticed, who I've asked about this game in the past, were really wondering if the game would change as far as gameplay went. Sadly, there were a few changes that were made which really sort of took the game down as far as scales go. Sure, there were some good additions. The additions of different types of weapons, and also the use of photon arts, which allows you to level up the more you use them. That was a very clever choice. Good on you. Good on you, Sega. Very good. There was one minor complaint that I had to have, which was a serious source of aggravation throughout my time of playing. The fact that the ability to use elemental spells was removed from the character and placed upon an item like any typical photon art. This was a downside to the system. Have you ever been caught in a serious situation where you were pinned up against the wall by some very, very ugly enemies and have to heal yourself? You're out of items, you're out of the ability to really use any item to recover yourself, and you're thinking, hey, where's my resta? You have to switch to a wand to use it. Do you have any clear concept of how aggravating that is? Sorry about that. That has been a source of frustration for me for a very long time. Moving on. Sound in the game, voice acting, as I mentioned before, was a new addition to the Phantasy Star. It was a very, very nice addition. I thought it added a very nice touch to the whole thing. As well as the soundtrack, it seems to add up to PSOs, but it doesn't exactly have that sort of epic spark. It's good and all, but much of the songs seem to get repetitive after a while, and that also adds to it. Another complaint as far as repetition goes is the fact that the levels are no longer randomized. Sure, some of the levels in PSO weren't randomized, but the pathway you had to take to them was. Now in PSU, a lot of the levels are far more restricted. You're only supposed to take one path, it's very linear, and it gets annoying about the 20th time that you have to doing it and trying to get a high ranking on that stupid mission. Especially the first level, it's all I'm asking. That's all I'm sort of saying about this. Anyways, getting back to the topic. Storyline. The addition of storyline that is sort of portrayed in a very Xenosaga-ish fashion, I have to admit, was a nice choice, but as far as after storyline goes, you might as well return the game. Extra mode is terrible. It really attempts to capture the essence of PSO and sort of fails half miserably, I've noticed. Story mode, though, was very impressive. It had a very solid storyline. It really brought a lot of deja vu-ish moments back from PSO, I will have to admit. So, with those 4 categories out of the way, I now have to give my final review. I'm going to be very fair. I'm going to be very generous. Being a very big fan of the series, I really enjoyed how this looked, how it played. There were some parts where I got very annoyed, but beyond that, 7, definitely a solid 7. The online portion, not being free play, was very aggravating. Parts of the new combat system were aggravating, and sort of the inconsistencies in lip syncing and action. I don't want to be nitpicky. If you play this, you would realize this just as much as I did. 7, it's a very solid score. Beyond those 3 details, Sega created a very solid game. Very solid sequel to the Phantasy Star series. And I will give them credit for that. Anyways, 7, maybe a 7.5 to 8 if it was free online gameplay, but sadly it's not. Final rating, 7 out of 10. Sega, you really tried to outdo yourselves, and it didn't exactly work. Well, that's both a rant and a review. You gotta give me credit for that one, and it's a different console than what I've been going on, so with that, that's my 3rd review. Already moving into new consoles. Anyways, that's it for me. Requests and comments are definitely appreciated. Anything you have, just throw at me. Anyways, that's it. Over and out.